I want to call this meeting of the Simpson County Fiscal Court to order. I'm going to ask Magistrate Scott Poston if he would open us with prayer, and we'll follow that with the pledge to the flag.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you, Lord, for this day and the many blessings that you have given us in life. Father, we just pray that you'll be with us today throughout this meeting. Father, just pray that you would lead, guide, and direct us. Father, we just also pray that you'll be with our law enforcement, first responders, and our armed forces. And Father, once again, we just pray that you'll be with us throughout this meeting. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Gentlemen, on your board is some information from Kids on the Block. I don't know, Miss Carini said she would be here, but I don't see her. So we'll just move along. First order of business is need a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the April 18th regular fiscal court meeting.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott.
Second.
Second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next is a need for a motion and a second to approve first reading of fiscal year 22-23 budget ordinance 220.250, amendment number 6. You have that amendment on your portal. Need a motion and a second to approve first reading of that ordinance.
So moved, Mason.
Motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Scott. Any question or discussion? And for the public's knowledge, this is amending in $111,000 in revenue that was not anticipated or put into the original budget. And it also shows where that revenue will be expended.
You ready for roll call?
Ready for a roll call, yes.
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Jeffrey Burr,
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. All right, then next, and I don't know, I may have misunderstood this, but as we left our last meeting, the question came about the SRO interlocal agreement having a 90-day clause to get out of it, and Tim Crocker, the attorney for the school board, brought that agreement over. So we have the agreement with the amended 90 days time period to opt out of it. So we needed a motion, second, or one way or the other.
Are we getting premature on this before we?
I mean, we can bring it back up after our budget discussion and talk about it then, if you want to table it till after budget discussion.
I'll go ahead. I would be all right with it this year, but I don't know about doing it every year. But you know, if they keep raising their taxes the way they're raising on everybody and all, and I don't know if we want to do it every year, but this year I could do it. But you know, I would. But we'd have the 90 days to let them know ahead of time next year. But you know, it's whatever the rest of the court wants to do.
I've spoken to probably 25 or 30 people in the community about it, and every one of them tell me to vote no up front. Vote no on it. School board, school system has raised their taxes, and they said that they'd rather the money come out of their budget than it had ours. And I've heard from everybody in the community, And they told me no. So we can do whatever we want to.
Well,
I know it's a hard decision because
it's not really a hard decision
with,
for me.
with safety of the kids, and I care about safety of the kids,
Well,
and I
here's,
think everybody in the community does too.
Well-
We do up here, but it's, everybody says that they still feel it's the school's responsibility, not ours.
well, here's the reality of it. The state legislature is who put this together, said you're gonna do it. There was no funding tied to it. There was no direction as to who would actually cover the cost of it. The school agreed to take it on and agreed to put an officer in every school building. And the sheriff was very diligent to get an officer for every building. The cost of this program is a little over $400,000 a year. And the school has asked the city and the county each to put in $100,000 and they would cover the rest of the cost. So here's where I'm at on this. You can make all kind of arguments, and I understand that you may have talked to 20 or 30 people, but the 20 or 30 people are not the entire community. I've talked to probably that many that it says it's a no-brainer, you got to do it. So there's that. So if the school just takes it, the state has mandated a hit to their budget that they weren't anticipating. It's a hit to our budget we weren't anticipating. It's a hit to the city's budget that they weren't anticipating. The question is, and I truly believe this, is public safety our number one priority? And I truly believe that it is. Should we do everything we can to ensure that we protect and take care of the kids in our community? And I absolutely believe that we should. I'm not in the position to analyze the school's budget. I don't know what they spend their money on. I don't know how they appropriate their money. I can't tell you that there is 10%, 20%, 30% waste. I can't tell you that. I don't know if any of us on this panel up here can say that. I can tell you that we paid the $100,000 this current fiscal year. I have it plugged into the budget for the next fiscal year, and I can tell you that if I'm asked to remove that off this budget, I will absolutely vote against the next fiscal year budget because I believe that we should help. If the concern is what the school is doing with tax money, then I would encourage those people to run for school board. But I don't see any way, if the question is, are you willing to put $100,000 in to help this school resource officer program work and ensure that we have an officer in every school, unequivocally, absolutely, I will vote to do that every time. And if I don't get reelected because I vote to spend $100,000 keeping school resource officers in our school, then so be it. So we need a motion to either do the agreement, not do the agreement, or table it till after the budget discussion.
I'd say table it. Right?
Yeah,
Budget
let's table
discussion.
it till after the budget, and we'll revisit.
And I'm good to do that, but and I don't want anyone to take this, I don't mean this as a threat, but I will absolutely vote against the budget that does not have the money plugged in to cover this school resource officer program. It just,
We've all got that decision to make.
yeah.
And I would agree with, I have no way to talk to all my constituents in my sector of the county. But I have had several conversations. I don't know how many, but several. I've had one person, I actually had a conversation with him last night. And I backed this scenario up to about this time last year, maybe a little bit later than this time last year, when we started discussing this. Originally, there was going to be no financial obligation to the city or the county. That was what was presented to us. Now, they did need some startup money, which we helped them with the startup money. And when we voted for that, I think Fiscal Court was on the understanding at that particular time as a one-time deal.
Yep.
That was our understanding. Things have changed. I've had several conversations with our superintendent personally, and it will have a negative effect on their budget. At least that's what was told to me. It's going to have a negative effect on our budget. The school district hones in on school safety at their building. The county of Simpson has 4 or 5 different sectors that we have to fund for public safety. And it's a big pill to swallow, Mason. You know that as well as I do. You know, we're not into our budget workshop as yet, but one of our main things that we fund is 911. As we know, we're going to be shortfall on that. So I think best is to table it. Now, the budget cycle, it'll go where it goes. I mean, it's, you know.
And I get it, Myron. I don't disagree with anything you said about the way that it was first presented. I mean, we could make an argument that this is how it was presented to us, that here's how it changed. You could make an argument that the school taxes people out the wazoo, if that's the argument you want to make. We could make all that. You could make an argument maybe that the school wastes tax money. I mean, you could make that argument. I can't argue yay or nay because I don't know their budget.
I don't have any responsibility for the school district. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
All I'm
their
saying
deal.
is, they have asked the city and the county each to help at a rate of 50% or maybe less than 50% of the cost of the program. And I have no qualms whatsoever about sending that money to make sure that we've got an officer in that school. I would ask, Sheriff, if you, I mean, I'm putting you on the spot because he don't know that I'm going to ask him this. How important do you believe it is that we have an officer in every school building? A POP certified officer that understands the risk and all of that. How important is that?
I would put it up at the top of the ladder. I mean, Simpson County's fighting drugs.
Do you mind to say it on camera? I mean, so people can hear?
Whether somebody came by that was running for governor, I don't get into politics, so I won't mention their name, but they were asking the big issues of Simpson County. I'd put that in the top 3. I think it's one of the greatest accomplishments that's happened. It's not the sheriff's office responsibility to do school resource officer. That's they have to find somebody. We agreed to do it because the city didn't want to do it any longer. But I'm not walking away from the citizens of Simpson County and saying we're not going to protect your schools. Will somebody walk into that school and ever do something to somebody? I have no idea. None of you do. There's not anybody in this community that can say. But I can tell you this, if it ever happens, that's something you got to live with. So my personal view, while I'm sheriff, I'll keep an officer in there. My job's not to fund anything, and I've said that from the beginning. School said they could pay for it. I'm not ignorant. The school's got to find a way to pay for it. And in most counties, fiscal court does put in, a lot of counties, it's up to 50% of what they're paying for a program. So I'm staying out of the funding mechanism because it doesn't do the sheriff's office any good whatsoever to argue with anybody over money. So
Yeah, I'm just asking how important it is to have those
do I
officers.
think it's important? Yes, yes. I would be disgusted if I wasn't sheriff and Franklin Police Department and the sheriff's office said, no, we're not going to do your school resource officer and have officers in school. I would be totally disgusted. and I'd be raising hell as a citizen if I ever found that out. That's different from having to pay for a program.
I understand.
But yes, I consider it one of the top things in the county. I think it's one of the best things that's ever happened. We get more positive comments this year from parents who our guys have had to deal with in one way, form, or fashion, and it's usually a positive thing. But they love it. The teachers love it. It's good. Just unfortunately, the world works on money. When it gets down to the money, everything comes out and everybody likes a service until it's time to pay for it, and when you got to pay for it, unfortunately, you guys are in a bad position because you guys are the ones that's got the checkbook and decide what gets paid for and what doesn't. So I understand where you're at, but the program itself is outstanding.
I know that we collect money from them to collect their tax. You get a fee,
Correct.
and that has been dropped 8%, and they have every right to do that, as I understand. Do you know how much that they get to keep that they don't have to pay the sheriff? I mean, I've heard 80-ish somewhere.
Yeah, the 1% reduction in that collection rate was close to $80,000.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I get, Scott, believe me, I get I get the question and I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I guess there could be an argument made on the school side that, hey, you've really been overcharging us for the last 10 years.
Yeah, but the Board of Education votes on that rate.
The amount of taxes
vote
they
on
get,
that
Scott,
rate, collection rate.
for this past year is about $15.8 million. That's give or take. Don't hold me to the exact figure, but it's real close.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the school district is the largest holder of the money that comes from the taxes collected. It's a little over 50% of what's collected. Anybody can look at their tax bill and be able to go, school's getting the bulk of my property taxes. The fee we get to collect, that is set by KRS statute. The judge is right, I neither defend nor put down, but it's unrelated to the school resource. The fact that they moved our rate down, they legitimately could do it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Bringing in enough money to
They
pay
could actually
for our
lower it a
service.
little more.
Yes. Unlike businesses, the sheriff's office is not allowed to try to make money.
Right.
We don't charge for law enforcement services. If I arrest you, there may be fees you pay in court and everywhere else, but you're not paying fees to the sheriff's office because we're not allowed to charge for our service. We're only allowed on the school's portion to collect and charge for what it costs for the collections. And then I have to figure that out for all of it. Now, the rest of them aren't like that. The rest of them do have to pay like 4.25%, anywhere from 4 to 4. That's set in statute too, and that doesn't change.
Is there a maximum? For some
4.25% is the maximum.
Okay, I was thinking it was 4, so it's 4.25.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a fraction over it. I'd have to have Jada for that.
And then there is a minimum.
The minimum is 1.5%.
Okay.
So it can never go below. And as our base continues to rise, it's going to continue to fall. The school, at some point, and it may be this year, this next tax year, will be at a 1.5% rate. There's no doubt about that.
Just because
and
of
you
the-
can't trade off. It's
Just because of the dollar amount you're collecting.
yeah, the higher the tax base goes, the more revenues coming in. Our portion we keep, but our expenses don't go up as high. If the girls get a little bit of a raise, we always look at it in our budget, but actually the money that's coming in for collecting the taxes and stuff is what's paying a good portion of their salaries and stuff. So the monies they get is kind of countered as that tax base goes up, but it'll be at 1.5%.
So, yeah, we'll table it. I'll say this, I'm really kind of a simple individual. I'm by no means any type of politician or this career politician kind of guy that thinks he's politically astute and knows all the ins and outs of politics. I'm just a guy that ran a small business and just real simple. And Marty asked a good question at the last meeting about would the school be able to fund it if we just said we can't do it? And I think the superintendent's answer was we'd find a way to make it work. that's all well and good, but here's, when I say I'm simple, here's what I'm getting at. The bottom line is, they've asked us to spend $100,000 on this program. And if you were to ask me as John Doe citizen, or county judge executive, or whatever, do you think that spending $100,000 to have officers in the school is a wise and prudent use of tax money? I would say absolutely. Because I can tell you, we spend money on things that are a lot less important than school resource officers. The unfortunate thing is that we're at a time in society where it's a necessity. That's the unfortunate thing.
If I might suggest,
Yes, you might, Counselor.
if we're going to table it, then you need a motion and a second to table it.
All right, we need a motion to table it till after budget discussion.
So move.
All right, got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Jeffrey. All in favor to table until after budget discussion? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Budget transfers. If you had an opportunity to review those, we need a motion and a second to approve those budget transfers.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Myron. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next is the cash transfer of $16,000 from the general fund to the jail fund. I need a motion and a second to authorize that cash transfer.
So moved.
Got a motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Jeffrey. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Well, I guess, is there any discussion? It's a little late for that now. We've done had all ayes. Any opposed? That motion carries. Then another cash transfer, we need a motion and a second to approve the cash transfer of $28,186.59 from the federal grant fund to the general fund.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Marty. Any question or discussion on that one? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next would be to approve the county clerk's claim for calculation of the 2023 motor vehicle and boat bills, and that calculation comes to $3,690.90.
So move.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Myron. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Then finally, the bills and claims. If you had an opportunity to review those, we need a motion and a second to approve the claims as presented.
So move.
Motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion on the claims? All in favor, aye. Any opposed?
I'm on staying on that.
Okay, I think we have 4 ayes and 1 abstention, Pam. That motion carries. All right, into reports. All right, y'all sit back, relax, pop you some popcorn. I got a whole list of stuff over here.
Mercy.
One thing I'll bring up, Marty had approached me and talked to me about something that I think could be worthwhile, and he got some information on it, and that is an employee survey, just so we can kind of get a feel for what the employees, how they feel about maybe the workplace, what the things they do like, they don't like, things that would make them want to stay here, things that go on that make them want to leave. So we could figure out maybe if there's areas we need to improve something or whatever, and I'll let Marty talk some about it, but.
Yeah, I talked to Cindy. I got contact from John Hall, talked to Cindy Hines with Leadership Strategies Group, and I was telling her that, a lot of times we evaluate employees, or different departments evaluate their employees, but I don't know when the employees actually get to evaluate the different departments. I know if they have a problem, the sheriff department, they go talk to the sheriff or whatever, but maybe there's some things they just would, if they were asked, they would say. I know we've had turnover problems at the jail. We've had, maybe we could have an independent firm do this survey and ask the employees, and they may not get any information out of it, or we may come up with something that, hey, if, whatever, if they had a, different hourly work schedule at the jail, if it was, whatever it was, instead of coming in at 7, they change the shifts around. I don't know how it would all work out, but we don't know unless we ask, and I talked with them about this. They said to do all the 100 county employees, which that's approximately what there are. It would be no more than $10,000, but if you wanted to do, if you called them and said, hey, we've only want to spend $5,000, they would just ask less questions. It would be done online. Each employee would have a code. They could go on. There would be a list of questions that the employee could answer, and they could go back and evaluate the answers and bring back to fiscal court the results of it. And it would be for every department, clerk, public works, sheriff, jail, fire, and the ladies here at the courthouse, emergency management, everybody. So I don't know if the court would be inclined to do that. I personally think it's a good idea if we could, like I say, if you don't want to spend the entire, he said it would be no more than $10,000, but until Mason contacts him or this firm and says this is how many questions we want to ask, if the court feels like $5,000 is all they want to spend on it. We have spent money on other things trying to determine what could make our county a better workplace, and that's all it's about. It's not trying to pick on any one department or any group of people. I thought if we could figure out something, if there's some little thing we could get out of this to make some of our employees happier and make our county a better workplace, then it may be worth it. So I don't know how the court feels about that, but if the court is inclined, I can get the information to Mason, and he can contact the company do it through the county. I can't do it. And I told the gentleman that I talked to yesterday, I don't make decisions. I'm just part of the fiscal court. So if the court's inclined to proceed forward with this, then by next court meeting we can have a more definite answer on the amount and proceed forward with this. So.
And just so y'all know, and I guess for the viewing public to know, because you may be thinking, well, why is Marty talking to him? Why didn't Mason talk to him? Marty come and asked me about it, and I said, hey, if you want to get some information together and get it back to me, that's good. It's not like I didn't know what he was.
I got this idea because when we did I was on the ambulance board when we hired the new ambulance director, and John Hall came in and and he also was one that did it for the park when they hired Lisa. And I was thinking with the questions he were asking these people that were applying for these positions, maybe there was something along that line, a template or whatever he could ask the employees. Well, he doesn't have time to do it, but he got me in contact with this one. So that's why I brought it to Mason. And like I say, I made him full aware. I don't make any decisions on my own. It's all I would have to bring it to fiscal court.
I'd like to have more information, something I could read and I'm not ready to enter into any contract, but I would like to have.
Oh, we don't have
more
a contract or anything like that, so.
Well, after the meeting, I'll get this guy's number. I'll talk to him and have him email some information, and we'll go from there.
But the reason I brought it up is because if the majority of people had said, no, we're not interested, it would do us no good to even proceed forward. So if you're interested, and it sounds like that it would be interested in getting the information, I can get it to Mason.
Okay. Yeah, we can get it together. Tammy, it may be good that you are here. Miss Tammy Carey from City Hall is over here with us today, because the next thing I want to talk about is I think Scott was there. You had to leave a little early, but Scott was at the last Franklin Forward community planning thing. I guess something that I didn't realize, and what I'm saying right now, I've said to Kenton, because Kenton and I met one day last week. Something I guess I didn't realize when the city started this was that really it's partly, if not mostly, going to be used to like update the Franklin Simpson Planning and Zoning Comprehensive Plan. So I really wasn't aware that that was kind of the end goal. And so to update the Planning and Zoning Comprehensive Plan, obviously it takes the city and the county both working together. And the next thing I'm going to say, I said to Kenton also, was the gentleman, Mr. Holmes, from the group doing the study, he came and talked directly to me at that meeting and said that he had mentioned to the city manager that he was really uncomfortable with the county not being a part of what was going on. So I had this conversation with Kenton, and so the question is that I have to you guys is, would you be willing to listen to, have a special called meeting, because we don't meet again in regular joint meeting until September, but willing to have a special called meeting and have the group that's doing this plan come in and catch us all up to speed and explain really what's happening and what the purpose of all this is for the comp plan.
I would be okay with
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah, yeah. I've missed one meeting, so it's probably gonna be the same spiel, but I mean, whatever the court wants to do.
Okay. I think it would be good to have a joint meeting, and to be honest with you, if we're going to use what comes out of this to update the Franklin Simpson Comprehensive Planning and Zoning Comp Plan, I don't know but what we shouldn't help fund some of it. I mean, now, Kenton didn't say that, and no one from the city's asked me that. It's just, but at any rate.
it. Well, when are they talking about doing? When, is there any suggestions on when? How soon?
To do the joint meeting?
Yeah.
Nothing is set yet. Tammy, how many more meetings, like, do you think there are planned?
There are 2 more public meetings,
When is the next public meeting scheduled?
June 1st. So June 1st and June 20th are the next 2 public meetings.
So it would really be good if we could have a joint meeting before June 1st.
I'm fine with doing one after the next court meeting.
I can't do it after the next court meeting.
Okay. So you want to be there?
I would like to be there.
I mean, I was just thinking while we were all here, but if that doesn't work, that's fine too.
Well, let's see, I mean, how long do you think it would take to have the discussion? Probably longer than it should.
Usually does.
Yeah.
Are we wanting to have a meeting where we can have more people from the public there?
Well, I think this meeting is more, this meeting would be more for our purpose to get caught up on really what's going on and where the whole plan is at.
And
Would we just want to have it at our meeting and maybe have Kenton come, or you think I mean, if we're not going to make any decision, just going to get us up to speed?
What, I just
Just
want,
asking, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I mean, I will talk to Mr. Holmes and see if he can get us up to speed, say in like 15, 20 minutes.
Well, but the ones that's been to these meetings,
Yeah.
it's, you know,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a recap.
Because what I'm getting at, Mark, that Tuesday, the 16th, 2 things. One, it's election day,
okay.
and election's going on at the courthouse, we'll be meeting up here. Number 2, by noon, I have to be gone.
Well, I want to clarify what I just said. When I said a meeting where the more public is invited, a lot of times the public there's more people there that can attend late in the afternoons than can attend
Right.
of a morning, so,
Yeah.
or at noon, so.
I mean, obviously, the
The public
public's
is
welcome to
welcome
any
to every
meeting, but the
meeting.
purpose of this meeting would be more to get this body up to speed
Okay.
on what's going on with that plan. I will see if he can come and just catch us up, and then maybe you and Kenton could just attend that meeting, and it wouldn't have to be a special called joint meeting. Okay. All right. May the 12th. I don't know what day of the week that is. Is that Thursday? Is that on a Thursday, a Friday?
Friday.
The Simpson County 4-H will have the ribeye sandwich lunch at the farmer's market. The Trash Amnesty Day this past Friday and Saturday was 198 loads of trash and 57 loads of recyclables. Yeah, I accounted for 2 loads of that trash. I had two.
Well,
of
I
the,
did too.
I had 2 of the 198, and then I seen somebody out there with a horse trailer full of stuff. Yeah, like let's just. But yeah, it went really well, and the folks with Scott said that it all went well. That the getting in and getting out, and the people pulling the dumpsters. So appreciate they've done all that. So then last Tuesday, myself, Pam, and Michelle attended the open meetings training at the Brad. And so just this morning, we got an email of the PowerPoint presentation that they presented. And I forwarded that email to all of you guys this morning. But there's a few things that I want to highlight that one I knew, but they elaborated on it a little more. The other, I had no idea. The counselor had no idea, and I am 99.9% sure that none of you guys had any idea. But open meetings, the Open Meetings Act is something that can get a local government in a lot of hot water if you violate those Open Meetings Act. Like, you can have your regularly called meetings, your regularly scheduled meetings, as long as they are at the same place, the same time that you have either by resolution or ordinance set the times and places of those meetings. Some things I didn't know about that is, like this agenda that we have, like here, if you're having a regularly scheduled meeting, you don't even have to have an agenda. You could just come in and say, here's what we're going to talk about today. And no, but I mean, I would think that would be chaotic. I think an agenda has a very good purpose, but you're not required to have one. Obviously, on a special called meeting, you have to give a 24-hour notice of both the time and the location. You also have to supply an agenda, and nothing but what's on that agenda can be discussed. I think those are all things we did know. A quorum of the government body is a majority. With our group would be 3. Here's some things that I kind of knew but didn't fully know about a quorum of the court getting together, which would be 3. But I did remember this one from the very first newly elected officials training that we done back in December of 2018, is that phone to phone to phone contact constitutes a quorum and violates the Open Meetings Act. Meaning, if one member of the court calls another member about an agenda item and says, here's my thoughts on this, and I don't like it, and I think we need to do this or that, and that court member says, yeah, I agree with you, then they hang up, and later on they call another court member, and the same conversation's had, that is a violation of the Open Meetings Act. Text are the same way. You can text and email information, but here's the problem with that, according to the attorney that was doing this training. If you text or email information and anyone in that group replies to everyone and says, even if no one else responds, if and which I do from time to time, I email or text you guys information about this is happening or this is when this is going to be or whatever. But if any of you reply, like hit reply all or reply back to the text with all of us on it and say, well, I understand the information you're giving me, but I can tell you right now, I'm not voting for this, and I would hope y'all don't vote for this either. That is an immediate violation of the Open Meetings Act. Here was the one that the counselor, I've explained this to Sam, and he took a little bit of exception with it, but this was an Attorney General's ruling.
That's okay, I take exception with lots of folks' rulings.
But this is one, social media groups. So like, if you're on social media, and I don't know who is or who isn't, but let's say, because I know the one big group is this HIP Franklin, Kentucky Facebook page. So let's say that all of us are members or followers of that page, okay? and someone makes a post and says, well, the county government's talking about doing such and such, and I think it's a horrible idea, and I don't know why they're talking about that, and at least 3 of us 5 are members of that page, and one of us 3 responds to that and says, you know what, I agree it is a horrible idea, and I'm trying to talk these guys into voting against this. The other 2 guys don't even have to necessarily see it, they don't have to necessarily respond to it, but the Attorney General has ruled that if you're all part of the same group, you have the ability to see it, and that is a violation of the Open Meetings Act.
That's what the AG says, and obviously that's what goes, but I think that's a wee bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying the AG says it, so therefore that's what goes. That's okay, there's court decisions, I think they're wrong
You know, we
with
have a representative from the AG's office sitting right out here.
Well, that's okay. I won't hold it against Attorney General Cameron in the primary race, but, you know, I'm just saying, just because I don't agree with something doesn't mean anything. That's why I'm a county attorney and not an appellate judge.
And the reason I'm sharing this with you, and I haven't gotten to the big one yet, I'm getting to the big one. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because the lady made a comment, and I think it's probably in the PowerPoint that's absolutely right. When you know better, you have to do better. I mean, it's one thing if you do things and you don't know, but once you know, and once I went and listened to this, I know this now, I can't not tell you. So it's a good thing y'all are all sitting down, you might want an aspirin handy. So our standing committees that each one of you have, those committees, in order to meet, have to be regularly scheduled by resolution or ordinance, or they have to be special called with a 24-hour notice and an agenda printed and given to the media. Because even if you just say, okay, we're going to have the insurance committee meeting such and such a day and time, whatever, you could say it, but it has to be by resolution or ordinance established, just like our court meeting times.
Well, now we know I need to pass I need an ordinance.
Yeah. So we do, I mean, honestly, if we continue doing those, we're going to have, I mean, we're either going to have to get all of these committees established days and times, because you'll see in that PowerPoint that I sent you, one of the things is, if it's regularly scheduled, you have to meet at least once a month. And so we will have to establish it by resolution or ordinance, or you would have to put out a 24-hour prior special called notice meeting, or special called meeting notice. Yes, sir?
If I might, because I'm the one who originally came years ago talking about committees having to meet to get the money, if I might suggest is each committee chair, if you're still wanting to go forward with this, then, I mean, your other option is we're not doing the committees and...
Yeah, we're not obligated to do it.
And then, you know, you don't get the stipend. But if you're wanting to do that, then what I might respectfully suggest is take the next week or 3 and figure out when you would like to try to meet, and then by resolution, I don't think you need to do it. I mean, if you can do it by resolution, you don't need to do an ordinance. Just do a resolution saying the insurance company will meet the first, the first Tuesday of every month, 8 o'clock in the morning, or the facilities committee will meet whatever, the 5th or the 3rd Friday of it. So, I mean, and you just do that, but that would be my suggestion. I wouldn't, you don't have to do an ordinance, don't do an ordinance, do a resolution and be done with it.
I guess my question is, why aren't we getting the only one? I mean, Sammy, you get a stipend every month. Why don't you have to have a meeting every month?
Because I'm not, my stipend comes from the state, and it's,
Ours does too.
well, it's for my prosecutorial duties. And so I do other things. I mean,
Well, we all do other things, but.
but I'm just saying to earn.
One fair for one to have meetings every month, everybody ought to have.
Well, I have meetings about 3 times a week over in the Justice Center. So I'm just saying, and I have other meetings, like in other counties for special prosecutor cases, that a lot of that stipend goes for mileage and other things to cover those expenses. So I have meetings, Marty, it's just not here with county government. It's my state prosecutorial duty. My meetings are usually called court appearances. So I'm just saying, I'm not trying to be, I guess I'm sounding a little bit like a smart aleck, and I'm sorry, but I do have meetings, and I'm sorry, I'm the messenger, and the messenger gets shot a lot of times, but I'm just saying, I'm just the messenger, and sometimes hardly a day goes by that I don't tell somebody either at home or at work something it's not really pleasant to hear. And my apologies.
And I, hearing that up there, I mean, I can't hear it and not, I mean, I can't go hear that in that training and not say, hey, here's what the Open Meetings Act requires.
Well, I'm doing ordinance on mine. I mean, we've been having ours the third Tuesday of every month for court meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever you need to do.
A resolution would be much simpler than an ordinance,
Or,
wouldn't it?
I mean, you say resolution or
Well,
ordinance.
They
whichever
said they
one we
have
need
to be
do.
established by resolution, it can be by ordinance,
Do we
but,
need to do a resolution for all four of them, or just for
yeah.
a resolution for each one?
well, it
I was
depends,
asking, does the resolution,
it would depend on, I would think it would depend on, and here I want to defer back to the counselor here, I think it would depend on whether or not all four committees are going to meet at the same time and place. If they're going to meet different times and different place, I think you'd have to have a resolution for each committee.
But, I mean, it's cleaner if you have one for each, saying, whatever committee, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can probably do it in about 2 lines and then go forward. I mean, it's nothing, it's not rocket science, I guess, is my point. And, that's why I'm saying you need to probably get with your, also, the reason I suggest a resolution is if things change, and it may be a good idea now, but say 3 years from now, with different people and personnel, maybe the scheduling needs to be something different. It's a lot easier to change something by a new resolution than doing another ordinance to, repeal an ordinance and then put a new ordinance in saying this is when the new date and time is.
And it's less costly.
Yeah.
There is that too.
So, but, yeah, I mean, just compile a date, a day of the month and time of day, and we'll just do a resolution for each committee.
mine's the third Tuesday of every month, 8 o'clock right over here.
Is anyone writing that down?
The equipment committee meeting is the third Tuesday of every month, 8 o'clock. And I don't know, second floor of the courthouse, I guess.
Yeah. So just, at some point over the next few weeks, get us that info. I'm sorry, but I mean.
That's fine. It gives us time to, we don't have to be on these committees. We may opt out of these committees.
Yeah, you don't have to do it.
Like the committee I'm on, as far as health insurance and retirement, a lot of times I don't even know anything about none of those meetings until they don't actually happen. So I may just opt out of it.
Yeah, I mean.
Fiscal court's going to have to make a decision on whether you execute these things. I may opt out of it because my schedule, the way mine is, I don't know that I can actually say a particular date every month after month. I don't know about that.
And that's the thing, I think the deal on the committees are, we're not statutorily obligated to have them, but if you receive a stipend, you are statutorily obligated to have them. I mean, what I'm saying, you don't have to have the committees or the meetings.
We're having them now, but it's not, I mean, it is open to the public, but it's not publicized.
Everybody, when she said that, everybody in that room, their head went like this, didn't they? Like, whoa, like what? Because I mean, I don't think no one really
I can't
realized
see
that.
anybody packing a house to want to talk about health insurance and retirement, but it very well could,
I don't think anybody's going to pack it. It's just.
I doubt it.
Yeah. We learned a few other things like we don't have to allow the public to talk in a regular meeting. All we have to do is make the meeting available, readily available to the public. We don't have to allow the public to say anything. Now,
Horrible idea.
do what?
Horrible idea.
I think it's a horrible idea, but I mean,
Oh, they'll talk, they just won't be in here.
Yeah, but by the Open Meetings Act, we don't have to allow people to speak. I mean, it was really a good training. It was a worthwhile training. But this one, you can't know what you're supposed to do and then just ignore it. So I'm just sharing information, but you got the PowerPoint. And I would say, I haven't really looked at it that much because it just come this morning, but Megan Griffin is the lady's name. She is an attorney with the League of Cities.
See, it's the League of Cities' fault, Tammy.
Well, I don't know how to tell you this, but the Open Meetings Act applies to county government as well as city government.
Well, no, she's the messenger, that's my point.
Yeah. I think any board or group that has elected officials is subjected to the Open Meetings Act.
Speaking of the equipment committee, we tabled a motion last meeting to this meeting.
We did.
And so we need to take it back up and I guess table it to the next meeting.
Yeah.
For some, I mean, we still need those vehicles.
The vehicle list, so let's move to table that vehicle list till the May 16th meeting. We don't have the list compiled as of yet.
Need a motion
Would you
and a
make that
second?
motion?
Yes.
Marty's got the motion to table the tabled discussion till May the 16th.
Let it remain on the table.
Second, Mason.
Second by Myron. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye.
Technically, I think we're supposed to move to take it off the table and then move it back.
Are we clean enough, Counselor?
Good enough for government work.
Okay. All right. Marty, you have anything?
No.
Jeffrey?
Got ribeye sales Friday, lunch on the lawn, cattlemen are cooking this Friday.
So we had 2 Fridays in a row.
2 Fridays in a row,
with ribeye.
ribeyes.
All right. Scott?
No, sir.
Myron? Counselor?
Briefly, I believe the exchange has finally been made from the sheriff's office to the county clerk's office on delinquent taxes. If you haven't paid before now, I don't think there are that many, but there are some out there. You're going to have to pay more money, but the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost. Also, it's subject here in a few months. Have you set a day and time for the sale yet?
September 19th.
September 19th, there's going to be a auction of the delinquent tax bills that may or may not be bought by a third party, in which case it really becomes more expensive and more complicated. So please, 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 if you can at all possible, try to pay those off before the sale.
Thank you, Counselor. Sheriff, anything?
Just follow up on Sam's, I'll keep it short. We finished up 97.23% taxes collected, which is extremely good. About 400 bills unpaid, approximately, turned over to the clerk's office. So all that needs to be done there, other than that, no report.
Well done to your staff, Sheriff.
Thank you, sir. Jailer, anything? Austin, anything with the clerk's office?
Let the public aware, excused in-person absentee voting begins tomorrow. That's May 3rd, 4th, 5th, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at our office, and then May 8th, 9th, and 10th. In-person early voting at the courthouse, May 11th to the 13th, and then election day is the 16th. So 6 a.m., 6 p.m. You can vote anywhere. Simpson Elementary, Agville, or here at the courthouse.
So the 3 early days of voting are just 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Right, and they're just here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
That'd be a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, yep. So, that's all I got.
Thank you, sir. All right, Chief, anything for fire department?
Yeah, I've got a couple of employees that completed some technical rescue training and got a certification, and as part of that, I was asking for a raise for 25 cents for 2 employees.
So this,
it's merit raise.
this
Merit raise based
merit
upon,
raise for
they
completing-
went to this, some classes, got some technical rescue training. They actually completed a few months ago, but I wanted to make sure I had the money in my budget before I enacted it early, make sure we're covered, and we do, so.
So we need to do an employee resolution.
And I don't think we have a resolution drafted or a number drafted on it.
I think you're gonna have to do that, actually.
Well, we could, I mean, it's easy to put the employee resolution number to it. It'd be EMP dash 2023 dash 51 dash 5 dash 02.
And BR 549.
Yeah. Is that all correct, Pam? Does that employee resolution number look correct?
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine for the 25-cent merit raise for the 2 fire department employees.
So moved.
And we will plug their names into the employee resolution. Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Myron. Any question or discussion? I guess it's part and parcel of that motion. We need to make sure that authorize the judge to sign, because I do believe I have to sign those resolutions. Is that good, Marty?
Yeah.
Myron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Chief. Bob, anything with OEM?
I received notification yesterday they're going to break ground on the tower next week.
Good deal. Very good. Bill, maintenance?
You all have a handout that I gave you this morning. I'm sorry for that, but didn't get all the information into it yesterday, so. Well, the project I'm looking at, if you've had a chance to look over, it's the painting of the Goodnight House exterior and replacing the back roof. As you can tell from the pictures, we're way overdue. But that's just because of in the last couple of years, we've had some extremely in need of some HVAC units that went out on us unexpectedly, so some of our budget for other projects like this was used for that. If you look at the bid sheet, is the second sheet. The first sheet is actually what I wrote for the contractors to bid upon. And if you look at the second sheet, you see the contractors. One thing I'm finding in this day and time, it's really hard to find contractors that want to do this scope of work. This is not a job that you're going to pull in a local painter with his step ladder and on the top of his station wagon, they're going to come out and paint this. This is going to require scaffolding and probably some lifts. So you can see that's in the pricing. It looks a little extreme, but in a way it's not. If you look on down, you'll see where I've listed the total and the responsibility of the Simpson County Court. Fiscal Court will be listed, and the Franklin Simpson Chamber of Commerce, they've agreed to pay the amount that I've shown, which is probably going to be the only reason why we can really do it, because I do not have the funding for this complete project to be taken care of. So, and just to make a note, whenever we've had something down there, the chamber has always stepped up and they've helped us. And those of you in the court that don't know, they've just spent $26,000 down there on new kitchen and the sod in the front yard. The yard was looking really bad, and they did that on their own, and they've paid for all that. So you can see that what they're stepping up to here is a very good contribution to get this project completed. If you look at the next sheet, you'll see the details of the project itself, which is going to include everything you might say. The way I told the contractor, I said, everything you see white on the outside has got to be touched in one way or other. It's got to be painted, scraped, holes filled, repair of that gutter on the north side. We actually got the same type of guttering system that we actually have here on the courthouse, and that has caused some problems in that area. And it's just time to get that, the back roof. I didn't get any pictures of the back roof because I don't crawl up on a roof unless I have to, but it's in pretty bad shape. I would caution anybody, even the painters, when they come, not to walk on that roof. So, and as we look at it, that's, as far as the exterior, that's going to put us in pretty good shape. If you remember back several years ago that I had the gutters replaced, and we had to replace them, if you remember, according to the historic requirements. And they look old, but they're actually aluminum, they're white, so we're not going to have to paint the gutters. The only other concern that we'll probably have in a few years would be the roof for the front part of the building. Of course, if we do this project here, the back roof will be taken care of. The upper roof on the back half is being taken care of right now because of the wind damage that we had. It's getting completely replaced. So, and I think we got a little bit more time on the front roof. I feel like with that pitch on that roof has to be a 11-12. It is straight up, and I think that's what's buying us more time on them on shingles, because we're not having trash and stuff stay on them. So, they stay pretty well washed off and clean. So, overall, I really think this project is going to put the Goodnight House in pretty good. And I think there's some talk about some pavement of the library and maybe include some of that. I haven't been in on that. So, but anyway, I'm asking for the court's approval on this project according to what I've listed here. And I've been told by the chamber director that this is pretty much going to happen, but we would probably want to put it into motion that, because they meet this afternoon, and the board will approve that. So upon the board approval of their amount, and we have our amount, you might want to put that into motion that we will do this project according to what they're going to pay and what we're going to pay, if that's what you all want to do. If you got any questions?
The money's in the budget to cover the portion
Yes.
that
Yes.
we would be responsible
Yeah,
for if the
but right
chamber.
now, we've got money in maintenance of other properties, and this is going to leave us just a little bit of a case of emergency. Not a big emergency, but it will help us if we have
Well, let's hope we don't have any emergencies in the next
you don't
7
expect
weeks.
that, but I didn't expect, 4 air conditioner units to go out in 1 year either, so.
So what we need is a motion to approve this contingent upon chamber board paying their 50%.
That's correct.
Okay, so
Got a motion by Marty to approve this.
Second.
Got a second by Meyer. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And I'll be at that meeting at noon today, Bill. I'll let you know how that board meeting goes. All right. Bob, anything for the road department? All right. It is 9:35. We will take a 10-minute recess and be back here at 9:45 to start the budget discussion. Yeah.